There is a universe inside your skull. 100 billion neurons ignite, crafting every sensation, every memory, every feeling you have ever known. We can map these pathways. We can watch a flicker of light in the brain as you recognize a face or solve a problem. We see the machinery in motion. Yet behind this intricate design rests a deeper mystery no microscope can locate: the origin. Where in the silent, fathomless dark of the mind does a thought first spark into existence? What breathes life into the spark? You can have a thought that changes your destiny, an idea that builds a city, or a melody that inspires a generation, and it arrives unannounced as though gifted from a higher source. A gift that whispers of God. How extraordinary is that? For centuries, a simple answer was enough. The brain manufacturers thought like a factory produces goods. A closed system. Your experiences, your genetics, your biology are the raw materials, and your consciousness the finished product, sealed securely within you. But this tidy explanation is unraveling. On the frontiers of physics, researchers whisper about quantum events in the brain's deepest structures, processes that resonate with the very foundation of space-time itself. And across ancient wisdom traditions, from the Himalayan highlands to the schools of Athens, sages spoke not of a brain that generates, but of a mind that receives. They described an infinite ocean of intelligence, a living repository of all that has ever been known, an unseen field from which our minds draw inspiration, just as lungs draw air. This video, brought to you by Quantum Aligned, is an exploration, not a declaration of final truth. I invite you to trust your inner knowing as the highest authority. This path is for those who feel that consciousness is far greater than we have been told. The story of who you are is not simple, and it may not even be yours alone. If you feel drawn to question the nature of reality, you are in the right place. Stay with Quantum Aligned, and don't forget to like and subscribe to support this journey. We begin with a profound question. If your brain does not invent your thoughts, then what or who does? The modern image of the human mind is a masterpiece of biological engineering. When we peer into the brain, we see a galaxy of neurons, each one a living wire, firing in precise, intricate patterns. Electrical impulses leap across synaptic gaps, weaving together sensory data into the coherent reality you experience in this very moment. It is a system of immense complexity, a self-contained electrochemical engine. In this model, you are the sum of your firings. Every joy, every sorrow, every moment of insight is a product of this wetware, born from the material world and confined within it. This view is powerful, elegant, and profoundly incomplete. For when we ask the simplest questions, its elegance falters and vast silent gaps appear. Consider the birth of a truly original thought. Not a memory, not a calculation, but a sudden, spontaneous creation. A painter envisions a color combination never seen. A scientist intuits a solution that seems to come from beyond reason. If the brain is only a processor of existing data, how does it generate something utterly new? The system appears to reach beyond its own archives, drawing from a source greater than itself, perhaps from God's infinite well of inspiration. And what of memory itself? For over a century, scientists have searched for the engram, the physical trace of a single memory stored in the brain. Yet none has ever been located. Memories can vanish and return. They can be invoked by stimulating broad regions of the brain, yet they do not dwell in any single cell or molecule. They appear as ghostly patterns, refusing fixed location, like a song that exists without a singer. These are not failures of science, but doorways pointing us toward a reality beyond neurons and synapses. Some neuroscientists suggest that consciousness does not arise from individual neurons at all, but from the brain's unified electromagnetic field, a coherent energy pattern integrating billions of firings into a single self. Here, thought is not fragmented sparks but a flowing wave of information. And deeper still, in the quantum realm, theories propose that the very scaffolding of neurons contains structures so small they obey the strange laws of quantum physics. Within these channels, the mind may not be a closed loop, but an open system, an antenna tuned to the vibrations of space-time itself. The beautiful machinery in our heads may not generate thought at all. It may instead be the most advanced receiver in the known universe, designed to catch whispers from a surrounding ocean of intelligence. If the brain is a receiver, then the universe itself must be a broadcaster. This leads us to search for signals, those invisible transmissions that carry meaning across space and time. This search takes us beyond biology into an elegant theory of nature's memory. It suggests that every system in the universe, from a swirling galaxy to a forming crystal to a thinking soul, is shaped by an invisible blueprint, a field of information. And within this design, we may sense the presence of God. It is a field of pattern, a non-local memory bank that accumulates the experience of a species, a substance, or even a habit. This is often described as morphic resonance. It suggests that once something happens in the universe, it makes it easier for that same thing to happen again. The memory of the event is not locked in the past, but lives in a present, active field that all similar systems can tune into. Consider the strange phenomenon of crystallization. When chemists synthesize a new compound, getting it to form crystals for the first time can be extremely difficult. Yet once the first crystal is formed anywhere in the world, the same compound suddenly begins to crystallize much more easily in other laboratories, even those with no physical connection. It is as if the molecule has learned how to organize itself, and this knowledge is now universally available. The morphic field of the substance has been awakened, hinting at an order woven into creation itself by God. This principle echoes in the animal kingdom. In famous experiments spanning decades, generations of rats were trained to escape from a water maze. Later generations learned the maze significantly faster, even when they were not descendants of the original trained rats. The genetic explanation could not fully account for this. The theory of morphic resonance offers another possibility. Each rat that solved the puzzle contributed to a collective memory field. The solution became a stronger, more accessible pattern in nature, resonating across time to make the task easier for others. The memory was not in their bodies. It was in the field. Now, turn this lens upon ourselves. If this organizing memory permeates all of nature, it does not stop at the boundary of the human mind. The implications are profound. It suggests your brain may function less like a computer that generates thoughts and more like a finely tuned receiver, dialing into countless frequencies of information. When you have an insight, a flash of intuition, or learn a new skill, you may not be inventing from nothing. You may be the first in your circle to successfully tune into a pre-existing field of knowledge, a thought already waiting to be received, gifted through God's creation. This reframes learning and creativity. They are not acts of solitary invention, but of resonance with a greater reality. And it raises a deeply stirring question. If our minds are constantly resonating with shared invisible fields, are the thoughts we call private truly our own? Or are we participants in a planetary conversation, echoes of a divine dialogue shaping our consciousness in ways we have barely begun to imagine? The idea of a shared planetary memory is not new. Long before the language of fields and resonance, ancient traditions were mapping this hidden dimension of reality with other words. They spoke of a universal mind. In some philosophies, this was called a primordial element from which all emerges, not empty space but a living, vibrant medium that preserves every thought, every word, every action. A cosmic archive, not as a dusty record of the past, but as a dynamic, ever-present field of consciousness, a dimension where time dissolves and the full story of creation exists in a single eternal now. Mystics throughout history claimed they could still their minds so deeply that they perceive this field directly, reading its currents to glimpse deeper truths of reality. They were not looking outward but inward, into the very foundation of consciousness, which whispers of God's eternal order. For centuries, such ideas were dismissed as myth or metaphor. Yet today, in a remarkable convergence, modern physics is describing the universe in ways strikingly similar. The physicist David Bohm, for example, proposed that the world of separate objects and linear time is only an explicate order, an unfolded projection of a much deeper implicate order. In this implicate realm, everything is enfolded within everything else. All points in space and time are fundamentally connected in an unbroken whole. Information is not stored in one location, but distributed holographically throughout the fabric of existence. What is this implicate order, this undivided ground of being? A universal memory, a scientific echo of what sages described long ago. It is a field where separation is illusion, where the past is not gone but waiting to be accessed. Here, science and spirituality touch, offering a bridge between the mystical and the physical. This bridge reaches into the human psyche. The pioneering psychologist Carl Jung, studying his patients' minds, discovered patterns that could not be explained by personal history. He found universal symbols, myths, and instincts appearing across cultures in people who had no contact with one another. He called this layer of mind the collective unconscious. What Jung touched upon may be understood as humanity's resonance with a greater field of divine memory. And so the mystery deepens. Our creativity, our dreams, our very sense of self may be reflections of a greater consciousness in which we all participate. This, too, is the journey of quantum aligned. If you are resonating with these ideas, stay with us like this video and subscribe to the channel. Together, we explore not only the science of the brain but the sacred architecture of existence itself. It is a shared psychic inheritance, a reservoir of ancestral memory containing the archetypes, the primal figures of the hero, the mother, the trickster, that shape our deepest experiences of life. Jung, a man of science, had mapped the psychological dimension of the universal mind. Whether we call it a cosmic field, the implicate order, or the collective unconscious, we circle the same profound truth. Humanity has always known on some level that it is part of something larger. That moment of sudden inspiration, the strange feeling of déjà vu, the shiver of recognition in a powerful story, perhaps these are not mere tricks of brain chemistry. Perhaps they are ripples from a deeper ocean, glimpses of the universal mind that God has woven into reality, briefly touching your own. The evidence suggests that consciousness is not an isolated flicker in a biological machine, but a fundamental, non-local property of the universe itself. And this realization forces us to confront the most intimate question a human can ask. If the thoughts I think are not truly mine, then who or what am I? This question shakes the very ground beneath our feet. Our entire identity, our sense of self, is built upon the belief that we are the thinker of our thoughts, the author of our actions, the keeper of our memories. This separate ego feels like the center of the world. But this perspective suggests the self is not a source but a channel. It is a localized point of awareness, a unique lens through which a vast universal intelligence can experience itself. The feeling of being an isolated individual, struggling to create, to survive, may be a profound misunderstanding of our purpose. Our role may not be to generate thoughts, but to receive them with ever-increasing clarity. Our work is not to build a self, but to become a better antenna for the self that already encompasses all. This is not a new idea. It has always been at the heart of the world's wisdom traditions. They remind us, the truth is not that we become God, but that we were never separate from God to begin with. In one stream of ancient teaching, awareness is described as a boundless, clear sky. Thoughts are merely clouds that arise and pass within it. They do not belong to the sky, and they cannot harm it. The goal is not to cling to clouds, but to rest in the vast luminous sky itself, the primordial awareness that is your true nature. We have been taught to see ourselves as anxious, striving thinkers, but these traditions invite us to see ourselves as the silent, spacious awareness in which all thoughts arise and dissolve. They suggest that what you truly are is not the voice in your head, but the silence that listens to it. This leads to a breathtaking possibility. What if every thought of genius, every act of love, every flash of creative brilliance is not random noise, but a direct invitation from that deeper intelligence? A call from God to awaken and participate in the conscious unfolding of reality itself. And so, we arrive not at an answer, but at a more beautiful question. The journey has led us to the threshold of a hidden dimension of being, a silent, interconnected reality that may be the true source of our inner life. For a moment, be still. Consider the very last thought that passed through your mind. Where did it come from? Feel its texture, its weight. Can you trace it back to an origin? Or did it arrive like a raindrop falling onto the surface of a still lake? You are not the lake. You are not the raindrop. You are the silent, spacious awareness that witnesses both. For your entire life, you have been told that you are the thinker. But what if your true identity is the space in which thinking happens? This changes everything. We spend so much of our lives trying to control our thoughts, to solve our problems, to think our way to peace or enlightenment. We wrestle with the voices in our head, believing they are us, and that our freedom lies in winning the argument. But if thoughts simply arrive from a field beyond us, then the path to freedom may be very different. Could awakening be less about thinking and more about listening? Could it be surrender, becoming so quiet that you finally hear the subtle intelligence always broadcasting, always present, beneath the noise of the personal mind? We have asked whether you are the one thinking your thoughts. But perhaps the greater mystery is even more profound. We assume we are consciousness that is thoughts. But what if instead, we are thoughts being held within a universal consciousness? Brief, beautiful dreams that the universe itself, through God's design, is having in order to know itself. The journey into these questions has no final destination. It only deepens. If this exploration stirred something within you, stay close to that feeling. This is the essence of Quantum Aligned. Subscribe, like, and continue the journey with us. Together, we explore not only the mind, but the infinite intelligence that breathes life into all existence.